Hey, so I was walking yesterday around the lake and I saw these people with their dogs and they were walking their dogs and they were really happy and everything, and it reminded me of when I used to have a cat called Silky. Now, the story behind Silky was that I got him from a pet shop. He was about 6 months of age when I got him from the pet shop, and he was a red point Persian, and he was basically, I was walking past the pet shop and I looked in the window and he was the only cat of his age actually in that pet shop, and he looked so lonely and so down. So I tapped on the glass that was attached to his cage, and he looked at me and he just stared at me, and he started to meow, and he had like this lonely look on his face, and I knew from then on that I had to have him. He couldn't stay in that pet shop all on his own forever. And so anyway, I brought him home, and that night myself and my partner went to bed, and we shut the bedroom door, and this lovely little cat just sat outside the bedroom door for about an hour and meowed and meowed and meowed because he didn't want to be left alone. He didn't want to feel that loneliness that he felt in that pet shop. So I came out, I lifted him up, I put him on the couch, and I laid there next to him and I patted him until he went to sleep. Now, we formed a really strong bond after that, and he would follow me around everywhere in the house. He really didn't like my partner at the time, because every time my partner would come up near me and Silky was around, Silky would just hiss and growl at him. He hated him for some reason, right? Anyway, so we had this really strong connection, this really strong bond, and this went on for about 4 years, and I was working for a Fortune 100 company at the time, and it seemed like a good place to work, had its quirks and stuff like that. Anyway, my partner called me from his car saying that Silky had gotten a tick and that he was taking him to the vets, and that he wasn't sure if he'd actually make it, and he wanted to know if I actually wanted to be picked up along the way because my work was close to the vets. So I went in to my manager and I spoke to my manager and I said, look, I was in tears and everything because I didn't want to lose my pet. And my manager was so nasty. Like, seriously, my manager told me that, crying is a sign of weakness, and why are you so upset? It's just an animal, and you shouldn't have such a strong connection with an animal, and no, you can't leave because we need you here. So I actually had to tell my partner that I had to stay at work and work, even though we didn't know whether Silky was going to live or die. Anyway, I was so upset and, quite angry, but I actually went to the ladies' room, got myself together, came back out and, finished the rest of the day, went home, spoke to my partner at the time, and my partner told me that he had to leave Silky in at the vets because he was that weak. They weren't sure if he was going to make it through the next couple of days or not. And we didn't have the equipment and so forth to look after him and nurse him back to health at our place. And, I was so angry at that manager that, for me to get my anger out, I actually got on the treadmill and I put it at the highest of, speeds, and I ran for 2 hours flat on the treadmill just to get that anger out. I went to bed that night, slept like a log, went to work. I was still upset and everything, and I was getting updates throughout the day, you know, about how Silky was going. And the next day came, and you know, he was getting weaker and weaker as time went by. And you know, it came to the point where the vet said, look, hey, I can't stand to see this animal, this really sweet, gentle creature, in so much pain. I think we should put him down. And so, although I didn't want to lose him, I didn't want him to go through so much pain either. So, and I didn't even have the time to say goodbye, because I wasn't allowed by my manager to go to the vets when I was asked if I wanted to take him to the vets, you know. And so anyway, the vet put him down, and I never got to say a proper goodbye, you know. And it was then and there that I realised that that company wasn't for me, that manager wasn't for me, because honestly, to tell someone who had a very strong bond with their pet that they shouldn't be emotional, that they shouldn't cry, that they can't, even though it's a life or death situation for the pet, can't go and take them to the vets, was beyond me. I mean, what sort of a person would be that nasty and that mean? So I ended up looking for another job after that, and I had to find closure another way. So I'd just like to say to all of those managers out there, be careful how you act and what you say to, you know, the people in your team. You have to be empathetic. You need to show some compassion. You know, you can't just tell someone that they, you know, it's not recommended that you know, they go and be by their pet's side or their dying family member's side or whatever. In that sort of a situation, you can't do that. It's not right, you know. And people have a right to form attachments to their animals. They have a right to show emotion when something is really, really upsetting them. You can't tell them to toughen up. You can't tell them that, you know, it's a sign of weakness to show emotions. Anyway, so I just thought that I would share that with you, and yeah, just let you know that if you're in a situation like that right now, then you're probably better off moving on. All right, I'm going to go now, so I will talk to you again soon.